Hi my friends, I'm Ixim and today I'm doing a card a day with the Wallow Gnome Tarot deck, and the card of today is the Star. And as you can see, it's a very beautiful card and it has a lot of contrast. For me particularly, it speaks about balance, imperfection, harmony, finding that balance within, because all the colors and the way that this particular deck use colors, they sort of tells you of the energies, or how you feel in terms of colors. So there's some cards that they have a lot of red, a lot of orange, so there's a lot of energy. There's a lot of passion, and then you have a lot of yellow, where there's guidance or happiness, and the green, manifestations, sort of like, and then the blue, the subconscious and everything. For me, this card obviously is nighttime, has the star, so it does speak of the subconscious, the dream work, that all of those things, but because there is a lot of white in here, makes me think of the balance between the metaphysical, the spiritual world, and the physical world. So there is some balance. You're able to flow within those two without problems. Another thing too that is for me, which is number 17. It is that the balance within my chakras. So because, and there's some other decks where you can see the stars, and there are actually like 7 stars. So it talks about the balance of the chakras. But actually too is that, this card is always, talks about hope. Renewal or new beginnings, or a better way of seeing a situation, where you, and the star comes after, the tower. So the tower is that destruction of illusions that we start seeing, seeing the things the way they are, but it's very, very painful. So then the star come and looking at the things the way they are, little by little, we start finding that there is hope in this situation, right? That we can do things better, or we can be better, or, that we are actually already very amazing. So this card talks about that, my friends, especially for me. Anyway, so let's look at the guidebook, and the guidebook talks about hope. Every time you see this card in a reading, it means that there is hope for whatever situation we encounter, that things are going to be better. But especially, I think it talks about the way we see the situation. So maybe we're calmer, maybe we already start seeing little answers hidden there, makes us feel better. So the guidebook book talks about standing outside on the dark night. You gaze upon the stars and sense glimmers of wonder and hope. Even though you can't find concrete answers to life, many questions up there in the sky, you can't help but feel comforted and renewed. Such is the energy of the star card. It's not about actions or situations. It's simply about connected to the part of you that is hopeful and serene. So, getting into that space of mind where you have the peace of mind, and that you can start finally getting the answers because you're calm and you have that serenity. This force will bring light back into your life and infuse you with positivity. A lovely card. So the guidebook is just has the perfect keywords, hope, renewal, a peace of mind. So maybe it's a change of perception, right? And another thing that I wanted to talk about this deck is the use of colors. As you can see, the way, they use the colors is, to me, is to show you how emotional or energetically the card is. So in the tower, we see, the red. So there's fire. So these things are happening suddenly and very hard, because as the red is passion and it's red and it's just striking, right? So that's the use of color. And then these are the cards that we haven't really gone through, but the color tells you, for me, the yellow is guidance and intuition, and so look at these, the work card, all the colors. So then the sense of balance, as over here in the star, the sense of balance is there with the colors. You can see the strength, and you can see that it's red, which is the passion, the white, the purity of intentions, and then is the yellow, the guidance, and the wheel of fortune. We have all the colors, but they're all over the place because these things are happening, these emotions are happening, or things that are happening that we cannot control. And then over here again, as in the tower, we see the lining is yellow. So lining, destruction of illusion, of lessons of life that are natural, cycles, natural things that happen. I can see, and the devil, we see a lot of red and orange. So there's a lot of energy in this car. There's a lot of passion in this car, and it's all down, but then there is yellow. So what happens sometimes, we do receive guidance in these painful times, and then look at this high priestess and look at these colors. You have a lot of colors that talks about evolution, transformation, transmutation, which is the purple, the white, the blue. The blue talks about the moon, the subconscious. So these cards use the color, the way the colors are used. And so over here we have the Empress, and the Empress has pink, red, and purple, because the Empress is the feminine divine. So yes, it's all about love, but it can be about the husband, or it can be about children, it can be about nature, it's just the loving force, the creativity also. In this love and creativity create transformation. That's why there's the purple. So in the Emperor, we see the red, the orange. And if you see a lot of Emperor's cards, they have a lot of orange, because there's a lot of energy, libido. I don't know if I say that right, but there's a lot of energy in this card, but it's the masculine, symbolism in it. And then the Hangman is the red, and then there is the orange of the Hermit, the yellow, and also the red. So there is some kind of work in our desires, in these two cards. There's a lot of black and white, because the justice, is about the unions of opposites, right? So there it goes. And then the Lovers, look at that. So you see all the colors. He talks about all these emotions flowing together. There is the fluidity, because you have all the color mixing wonderfully, right? And then the Chariot, there's a lot of passion, energy, drive, force. And then in the Death, there is a lot of gray, black and white, because by mixing the opposites, by learning about the white and the black, about the good and the bad, you have wisdom. And after that, and finishing one thing and starting another one, there always come lessons and wisdom. And the Temperance, we see all those colors again. There is a mixing things together in this card. And the Magician, has all the desire, all the guidance, all the pure intentions. Everything is just so striking. Look at these colors. And the Fool again. We see the yellow and the red and the orange. Because again, we're talking about guidance. We're talking about energy. We talk about desires. And we talk about purity also. We see the yellow and the white. And so basically, I really, really like the use of colors, because they add the symbolism that other cards have, and images. We find them here in the colors. So look at the colors, pay attention of the colors. And so there it is. So thank you for watching the video, and I invite you for questions or comments are always welcome. Thank you so much, and see you next time. Bye.